Okay, so we have game 3 up here, and I noticed right away that Prince isn't that useful. I also noticed that we have Museum on the board with shelters in place, so you are going to be faced with an interesting decision of whether or not you keep the shelters in your deck for the 2 points, or if you would like to trash them. Probably with Develop. Develop can turn them into Settlers, which are useful cards, but after that, the develop doesn't have much to do. You'll probably advance it. So that being said, there's not a lot of draw on the board. You'd have to Princess Settlers to get draw. So I think we're going to play this one a bit money-ish. I could overpay for a doctor here, but I think using Counterfeit to trash the coppers is way better on this board. So what I'm looking at is something like Explorer and money, really. That's it. With a slight eye or some attention being paid to Museum. So trying as best as possible to maximize your Museum points while playing this money strategy. So I do get rid of the Necropolis, which is at 2 points, to get the Explorer in early on the first shuffle. I think that is worth it. It also, gets rid of the Necropolis from your deck and makes it less likely that your Explorer will miss. So all in all, it seems to be decent. It gives you a better shot at getting to 5, on which I pick up a Counterfeit first, and I get another 5 here, so it could be a second Explorer or another Counterfeit. I am going to go for another Counterfeit, but the next 5 will definitely be another Explorer. So I think doing something like double Explorer, double Counterfeit is good. Eventually I might be able to Counterfeit gold and get some big turns, and big turns here look like probably Province and Duchy. If you have a real big turn, double Province, but outside of that, I don't see much else happening. If you wanted to try real hard to get some kind of engine style thing going, probably, develop in the Settlers and try to put a Prince on Settlers, but then at the end of the day, what are you doing? Just buying money. Just buying money. With respect to money as well, there's Masterpiece on the board, which I was actually thinking about all now. Like in these first few turns of the game, I was thinking, okay, 5s I'm going to spend on Explorers and Counterfeits, but if I get to something like 7 or 8, I will take a Masterpiece and get a lot of silvers in the deck and then go for Province from there. So that was actually my plan early on here, to take the Masterpiece, but I switch over from that. I decide not to do it. So we have roughly the same deck at this point, my opponent and I. Couple of Explorers, a couple of Counterfeits. We've both trashed Necropolis out of our deck. There's not a lot separating us right now. Not a lot separating us. None of our cards have really missed the shuffle or anything, so we seem to be in a fairly decent spot. Here, I think about whether or not I want to trash the silver or the copper. Now, if I trash the silver, I would have a better Masterpiece, but here's probably where I switch over from the Masterpiece plan and I pick up a gold instead of the Masterpiece there, which could have been, what, 4 silvers or 3 silvers. Another Counterfeit for my opponent, so I do not want a third Counterfeit in my deck. I think 2 is sufficient, but my opponent wants another one. Perhaps he has different plans to me. And another gold here. So the reason why I switched from the Masterpiece plan is because it makes it more difficult for my Explorers to find my provinces. So it makes it more difficult to gain gold. Additionally, if you're playing Silver Flood, you hit 7 a lot and 8 less often, whereas if you play silvers and some golds, you hit 8 a lot more often. Now, of course, with the Counterfeits in our deck, that is not as likely as it would ordinarily be, because then you could Counterfeit the silver and probably get up to 8. But still, I didn't want to try the Masterpiece thing, and my opponent, he actually goes for the Masterpiece thing here. I think on this turn he goes for the Masterpiece overpay. So one benefit to the Masterpiece plan is that you do get the extra 2 points from the Museum as well as the bucket load of money. So this 8 and 2 buys is, I'm not sure if this is the Masterpiece turn or if he'll do it a bit later. I think here, yeah, so there goes the Masterpiece. and 5 silvers into his deck. So what he's telling me is that, okay, on my next shuffle, I'm going to hit provinces and I'm going to hit it hard. So this is probably why he has the third counterfeit in his deck, because he thought, okay, look, I'm going to cram my deck with treasure cards. So I would like to see that counterfeit with those treasure cards as much as possible. So given that situation, I'm going to start picking up provinces here, and I do pick up our settlers. Now I have been paying attention to the uniques in both of our decks, and I think we have the exact same. That is not true. My opponent has a masterpiece over me. He has a masterpiece over me, but I just picked up a province, so he doesn't have a province yet, but obviously he'll get one, right? So last turn I went deliberately for 10 and 2 buys just so I could pick up the settlers for the 2 points there. I did have to trash a gold. Not sure if that was the right thing to do at that point in the game, but oh well, it's done now. So 5 and 2 buys for my opponent. The buys are also nice from the counterfeit later, because if you want to pick up, you know, cheap things for 2 points, you can do so quite easily. He picks up a farmer's market here, which again, it has some utility, right? It has some utility. It'll only get stronger the more times you play it. So I get up to 11 here and I pick up a farmer's market myself alongside a province. This is a pretty bad hand, but I mean, if you draw 5 silvers in one hand, what do you expect, right? I do have the option here of turning this hovel into an estate, and I did think about it, but I choose not to, choosing to preserve instead the 2 points, and I don't think it's time to put an estate into my deck with 6 provinces in the stack still. I can do that on the next shuffle, I feel, when it'll be less obstructive to the deck. So this is a good hand for me. I can counterfeit the gold if I need to, and I think I will choose to counterfeit the gold here just because it lets me get up to province and duchy. Now I do have to keep an eye on how many gold I'm counterfeiting, because I don't want to lose the 2 points by trashing my last gold. This is where the explorer and the province pairing comes into play. If I can see, you know, at least one of that at least one time for the game, you know, gaining a goal is nice. It lets me have a bit more freedom with my counterfeit targets later on into the game. So I do take the 13 to go for province and duchy, and things look to be okay right now. It looks to be okay. I just have to continue hitting the provinces. My opponent gets one here. If I can get another one quickly, that should put me in a very nice position. Not quite yet a province here, but picking up the gold, like I said, is nice and enough for duchy. So a consideration here, as my opponent picks up a province, which was pointed out to me after the game, is that I could have played this farmer's market and gone for something like estate beggar to maximize points. I held back on the farmer's market because I didn't want to fatten my opponent's farmer's market, and instead chose just to pick up the estate for the 2, well, not 2 plus 2 points, right, 4 points. But if I wanted more points, I could have gone for the beggar there. Anyways, so the settlers coming here is actually very, very nice, very, very lucky. I didn't put it in the deck here, it just happened to show up here. Duchy for my opponent, but picking up these coppers from the discard as well as drawing a couple cards is going to give me a lot of money this turn. So much that I will go ahead and take province and duchy again, I believe, here by counterfeiting the gold. So this would have been my last gold, but the explorer at the top of the shuffle gained me one, so I have the freedom to chop this gold down and pick up province and duchy, and I draw into exactly enough money on the next hand to pick up the win. So that is game 3. We chose slightly different ways to play this game. My opponent went for the masterpiece and I didn't. There's a big difference, I think. I'm not really sure which one is better. I thought that I drew very well in this game. Anyways, so game 3, and see you in the next one.